please help me welcome to Astronomicon, Mr. Jason Lee. Come on down. Welcome, friends. Have a seat wherever you are.
I mean, it's crap, man.
Get rid of one of the chairs. Hey, buddy. Enjoy up here to being bossy.
20 years. I mean, how is that possible?
20 years. Yeah, the pilot aired 20 years ago. This coming fall, it'll be 20 years, yeah.
At what point, first question for each of you, at what point did you realize?
Let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
Ethan got 2 mics.
Oh, Ethan got 2 mics.
I did.
Okay.
I also had 2 chairs, but Jenny set one away.
I'll start all the way down, Jason.
Yes.
When did you realize that it had been 20 years? Or did someone point it out to you? Or like, how did you?
Five minutes ago backstage.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it really knocked me on my ass. That's a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eddie, how about you? When did that occur to you that it's been 20 years since the show started?
Just now.
This is what we do here at Astronomicon.
Yeah.
We do math.
You trip people out.
You know,
man.
it's the 9th Astronomicon, but it's Astronomicon 8. There's all kinds of math going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I don't do math, but the moment that I realized it's been 20 years is when Garsha, our creator, Greg Garcia, we call him Garsha, sent me an email and was like, yo, I'm gonna do a 20-year anniversary party at my house. What dates are good for you? And then I was like, shit. 20 years. I gave birth to my first son. I was pregnant in the whole 2nd season, and he is getting ready to graduate and turn 18.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it just makes me feel old as dirt.
Well, see, I'm not good at math, but I mean, you're only like 30 now, so I don't even
Yeah,
understand.
32.
Yeah, you're just 12 on the show. It's crazy. Playing old.
Oh, thanks. We have so much there. I'm dead serious. My boys have grays in them. Oh,
Yeah, I got all kinds of gray now. My name is Earl.
I'm done.
My name is still Earl.
Ethan, how about you? When did it dawn on you? How long
Well,
it's been?
it didn't when Jason acknowledged it. And again, it didn't when Eddie acknowledged it. And it didn't when Jamie acknowledged it. But when you asked me, I realized, oh, it's been 20 years.
And I think someone else out here might ask you again. So
Yes.
be prepared.
And just so you know, it has indeed been 20 years.
Yes.
Now that we've gotten that out of the
Insane.
way.
We've gotten that out of the way. Well, I obviously we have a lot of My Name is Earl questions and things to talk about, but it's also a bit of a momentous occasion. April 1st, I think, was the announcement. Dogma is back. He is a demon. A very well-dressed demon.
Yeah.
Both today and
It's going to do a little theatrical tour with Kevin, I believe, and then it should start streaming, I imagine. But yeah, it's Dogma is free once more,
it's free.
and in Kevin's hands.
Back
Yeah.
in a while. Let's see if we get fans this time.
I think it's June. It's going to have a theatrical run for a month or something like that. I think. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for confirming that.
Kevin's publicist is in the audience. So I want to do a little bit of lore and go all the way back, and then we just start in this direction. How did you first hear about this show, this idea? What was the pitch? What was kind of the concept, and did it change from?
I got the pilot script and read it and knew right away what it was supposed to be. And so I did not at all doubt the material, but
But also, Jason was not somebody who wanted to do, he was not interested in doing television.
yeah, I liked the script, but I just was a little nervous about being on a kind of a network TV show. I didn't really know what that meant and what that would involve. It wasn't maybe as common back then to sort of attach yourself to to kind of switch over and be on a big network
From film
TV
to
show.
TV, yeah.
But I liked Greg Garcia from the chats that we had, and we were both very fond of Raising Arizona and that kind of tone. And he basically said, I'm gonna do my best to create something unique for mainstream network TV, but also with heart and interesting and appealing characters. And I was ultimately sold on it, and I'm glad I signed on because it was phenomenally fun. Really, really cool show.
And people forget that this was a time where there seemed to be much more of a separation between movies and TV.
That's
It was
right.
Like if you were a TV actor, you weren't a movie actor necessarily, and then now it's, all
Well,
over
at
the
the
place.
time, you were a movie star or you did television. They didn't call you a TV star. You were just a movie star or you did television. And movie stars look down on
Yeah.
TV. And then look what everybody did. Come on, jump on my plate. I was loving TV and then all these people had to come in.
Yeah, it used to be like you'd occasionally have like your George Clooney or somebody who graduated into
Right.
movies, but
I mean,
now
I
it's
started out
all.
in film, but then I realized you made more money in TV and you were in everybody's face every week. You had a consistent job and I got to stay home. I didn't have to like go all over, fly all over the place to, which film, you're never home.
Same question about when did you first hear and what did you think of the script and everything when it first came your way?
I don't remember when I first heard about it, but I had an audition and I was with Jamie. We had done Torque together.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's a terrible.
Ice Cube motorcycle movie?
I smoked weed and rode around on the set with Ice Cube on those scooters.
How much does she sound like Joy, by the way? We rode around, I got stoned and rode around last key with scooters.
You know why, Jay?
Damn it, Earl!
Because everybody
Sorry,
today
I
has
cut
been
you off, sorry.
asking for me to do Joy things.
Oh, you do it, yeah, you
And
do it
I do
everywhere
it,
you
but-
go.
Yeah, I can't
It's
help it.
fantastic.
Can we get a little snap?
Afterwards, let Eddie go.
No, I'll make it brief.
No, don't.
No, I'm turning this into a torque panel. I want to talk about this motorcycle.
From Torque to Crab Man, the Eddie Steeple story.
I was doing a commercial for Office Max, so.
So good.
Greg Garcia-
Does anybody remember Rubber Band Man?
Hey,
Let's go!
no joking. Who was in here for the last panel? Yeah. Theo Rossi says he doesn't watch anything except, this is a true story, early 2000s commercials. He says there's compilations on YouTube of 90s and Y2K era commercials, and that's all he watches when he's working and doing things.
There you go.
So this is the weirdest
Yeah.
crossover between two panels I think I've ever experienced.
All right, we keep
Rubber
cutting
Band
off. Go
Man,
ahead,
sorry.
Eddie, sorry.
That's fine. But so anyway, Greg Garcia was a huge fan of the show, of the commercial. So I guess he just wanted me to try to see if I can be on this TV show he had. And the producers weren't, from what I'm told, the other producers weren't really sold on me being the guy for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
but you had the hair, dude.
Yeah, the hair, the facial hair, but anyway, on my audition, the last audition I had, I was standing outside the door, kind of like, eavesdropping, and I heard one of them arguing with Greg saying, but he has facial hair too. And Greg was like, who cares? What does that matter? He has facial hair. So anyway, I got casted for it, and I knew Jamie, I think that had a big part to play in it, because I remember Greg coming outside, we had an audition somewhere, and we were sitting next to each other talking, we'd done talking. And Greg kind of walked past and just saw us talking, and I think that might have.
Just seeing the two of us together, he was like, that's my joy and cramp me.
Yeah.
Jamie was berating him about it.
I probably was.
Probably, yeah. But anyway, that's how it happened for me, and, yeah.
It was definitely the right choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, my manager sent it to me. I got it, I opened it, it said, "My name is Earl." One of my favorite men that ever lived was my grandfather Presley, whose name was Earl. And I looked up and I went, okay, what's this gonna be? And I read it and I'm like, this is my grandma. I was like, you're funny. And I'm like reading it. Now, my grandmother was with the same man her entire life, my granddaddy Presley Earl, right? And she had 5 children, but the bossiest, loudest, he would be behind her flipping her off all the time with her pants pulled up to here. And she knew everything about everybody and all the time and everything. She just was joy. And so I just went, well, I know what I'm gonna do. And by the way, she was a very classy woman. Joy was not, so that's where I got to play.
By the way, my middle name is Earl.
That's the spin-off, actually.
Yeah. My name is Earl.
20 years ago, we used to get paper scripts, it wasn't email, and I had a very tall stack of scripts. 20 years ago, there used to be something called pilot season. Every year they'd shoot a bunch of TV shows. That doesn't happen anymore. And I had this very tall stack of scripts, and I read through every one of them, and My Name is Earl was the only one that I laughed out loud at. It was just a great script.
One of the best, that was one of the most well-written pilots I have ever read. And it was different because it was a single camera. It wasn't multicam being shot like a sitcom in front of a studio audience. It was like ahead of its time. And other than The Office, who had only been on for one season and wasn't
their first
doing
season was
well.
4 episodes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they weren't doing well, but it was shot handheld like a mockumentary, right? And this was shot single camera, which is like a film or whatever, and was a comedy. I didn't understand it because it hadn't been done before, and it was done so brilliantly by Greg Garcia and the rest of our crew that, that literally was what set the tone for comedy today on television when it comes to the format.
Yeah.
Now, Ethan, I can't sit next to you and not bring up American History X at least once. We got the American History X crowd in here? Booze and cheers, yeah. I think it might have been booze for maybe the characters, hopefully, but not the film itself. But there's a deleted scene where things took an even darker turn for Seth. I'm sure there's a lot of deleted scenes, the whole story of that movie and how it came together was crazy.
I never saw it, so I don't know what the deleted scene is.
You never saw the theatrical or so the deleted is you and Stacy Keach in the diner, like a fast food restaurant, and you get into an altercation and then you end up in the hospital.
Ah, okay.
And well, that's not
That's
in the
not in the movie.
Yeah. But I felt like in terms of Seth as a character, that whole scene almost, he's obviously one of the harder characters in there, kind of softened him a little bit, I guess you feel bad for anybody getting severely beaten, even if they're asking for it.
Yeah, I feel like he deserved it.
Yeah.
What a great scene to cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of gave me a little bit of an arc.
That's what I mean, yeah, that's where it was sort of like a disappointment.
How do you guys see in this movie? Seth, I feel like he, there's a lot of hatred in that movie, and I feel like Seth very much got caught up in something that he could have been caught up in any direction.
Yeah.
Pulled him, I don't think any of those ideas were born in him.
I think that scene really spoke to that because you see as the main villain realizes he's lost his grip on Derek Vineyard, he then shifts his focus to Seth, and that's in that diner where he's saying kind of grooming him for.
Right, you gotta step up.
Yeah. So, anyway, watch the deleted scene. I think it's on YouTube. Yeah, everything's on YouTube these days. So did you have that similar trepidation as Jason as far as movies versus sitcoms, or I don't know about a network show, because you were a movie actor?
Well, at the time, I had not done pilot season before, and I was a movie actor, and I think, I'd been in Romania for 9 months, and then New Zealand for 6 months, and Montreal for a couple of months, and I kept traveling, and I had a girl I was seeing and 2 stepkids that I was helping to raise, and it was like putting a strain on it. So at that point, no, I was very much interested in television for the reasons Jamie said. You get a not quite a 9 to 5.
No, we worked like 15 hours a day.
Yeah, but you get to come home for 30 hours on the weekend, and you're there.
You get to go home at night, period.
Yeah, you sleep in the same bed as your wife, and it is a saner schedule than going away to Romania for 7 months, you know, so.
It's hard
I
doing
wanted to
that.
do TV.
So given that the show was a sitcom, obviously it was a comedy, and these are comedic characters, I would love to hear from each of you about what you did to, because one of the reasons I think the show works is you take them seriously as people, right? Like the way you played them, they were believable, real people that you could know they weren't just caricatures. Which doing a show like My Name is Earl, you could very easily make them all caricatures. So I'm curious to hear from each of you sort of what you did to, I mean, you talked about your grandmother as a great reference point, what you did to make each of your characters feel like real people and not just cartoons.
Oh.
Start down.
I was just gone right now. I was pulling a Randy Hickey.
Oh, we're looking for aliens.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that was the writing and what Greg wanted to accomplish, which was to ultimately sort of put forth a very cool message being delivered by an unexpected messenger in Earl, you know what I mean? And Earl's genuine passion for wanting to, the revelation I think was a big enough click for him to where the mission was genuine. And then we surrounded it with just a lot of fun characters like Willie the One-Eyed Mailman, Patty the Daytime Hooker, you know, the One-Legged Girl. Like it was just fun to play in that colorful, almost Simpson-esque kind of world, Simpsons-esque kind of world, but grounded in this real, genuine mission of this guy. There was a real passion for wanting to like do better, and I think that was a great driving force for the show, was that it was sincere.
You know what's crazy? Like, because they wanted, you and Garsh years ago tried to go back because we wanted to kind of reboot it, right? And everybody was afraid to do it because of cancel culture and all the things, and because our show was like so in your face with like, you know, stuff that everybody was so afraid to talk about at that point. But the truth is, like the way you just described it was so beautifully put, because that's exactly what should be on TV today.
Yeah.
Great message, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, Eddie, your turn.
My character, I basically based it off of my nephew, who was 5 at the time. I mixed him with Charlie Chaplin. And
Do you notice Crabman kind of had that Chaplin walk?
Yeah.
I just mixed the two of them, and that's how I came up with that. And my nephew had the way he talked like kind of like Crabman, but as a 5-year-old, so I just incorporated that.
It was perfect.
But just infinitely optimistic Crabman.
Like a 5-year-old.
Yeah. So good.
I mean, I told you what I said about, but understand something. My grandmother was not like a slim, trim, whatever. She was a big woman who was just very bossy, knew what she wanted. She thought she was the smartest person in the room all the time. And to her point, she was a brilliant woman. But Joy, I wanted her to believe, Joy believed she was brilliant, even though she would say the dumbest shit on the planet. She believed in her heart, she 100% believed that she was right all the time, and that she was the smartest person in the room. And having her say something that was just so ignorant, and then like look at everybody like, oh, are so stupid, was my favorite, because, you know, they say ignorance is bliss, right? She never had anything wrong with her unless it's something somebody else did wrong, which was all the time. So, but a lot of her came, like, we built that because I didn't want to look just like me. I wanted to look, so it had to do with like the clothes. I really wanted specific things that I had grown up. The woman that owned I went to a daycare when I was really little. And then the daycare broke up, and so the women that worked in there split up and started having like daycares out of their homes, right? And I went with Miss Bonnie, who was my favorite, and she lived in a trailer park. And it was my favorite place on the planet because there was a ditch to play in and go crawdadding, and I could get dirty all the time and climb trees. And she made spaghetti all the time, and I mean, it was great for me. I loved it. And we ran around that trailer park like crazy, and then my dad would come and pick me up, or my mom, and I'd go into the land of country club, right? But that was my favorite.
And the way the outfits went down in the summer just embedded in my brain, and that was joy, even in the winter. And then the hair. We went to Compton and Inglewood and hired women who normally do weaves for black women and had them do blonde hair weaves for Joy. So I had Afro puffs and I had all kinds of, and just being, like, I'd get to work and just look like nothing, right? And then all of a sudden you step out and like my hip is popped to the side, like I can't stand straight, just because of the way we were dressed. I was dressed. But anyway.
That's amazing.
I just heard Randy when I read it, so I didn't really do any work. That's just what Randy sounded like. And then when we were shooting the pilot episode, I remember doing something where Greg came up to me and he was like, "You keep staring at the sky. What are you doing?" And I said, Randy's looking for aliens. And he was like, and Greg said, "Great, that's fine. Keep doing that." And then there's like a little break, you shoot the pilot and then they go and decide whether they're gonna shoot more episodes. And between that time, it's a couple months, right?
Yeah.
Or something. I remember when we got picked up, I said to Greg, "I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know what the hell, I don't remember at all what I did." And he said, "Just open your mouth and look up."
But part of it too, I remember it being, Randy, I remember you saying one time that Randy has a deviated septum and he's always looking for aliens, which is why his mouth is deviated septum. Was always open.
I guess I did that much work.
I was gonna say, you said you didn't do any work,
I
but that's
decided
work.
Randy
Yeah.
had a deviated septum, and he was fascinated by the idea that there were aliens, I guess.
It works.
That's deep work.
Yeah.
That qualifies, yeah. That's acting workshop stuff,
Yeah.
for sure. Let's open it up to some questions out there, because we got a packed panel room. Yeah, raise your hand if you have a question, and before your question, tell us your name and where you're from. We'll start right here with you, sir.
By the way, this is like a UN summit.
Could you imagine if it really was and we were the ones up here? Oh,
Let's
sad
talk
it would
about
be.
terrorists.
It might be better, actually.
I was gonna say, it could be worse.
My name is Jeff,
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
and my question, I'm going to jump right to the end of the show. Spoiler for anybody who's never seen it, sorry. We found out about that. But was it ever revealed who was planned to be the real father of Earl Jr.?
There were two plans. One was Dave Chappelle. And the other was, if Dave Chappelle is unavailable, Nescabar Loudplow.
That was my guess.
That's a great question. You, sir.
Hi, my name is Jen. I'm from London, England, and I have a question for Jason. Do you miss your awesome mustache?
I do. And I sometimes break it out.
I think the best thing ever, I just have to say this, we were at the Emmys, and I was looking for, I turned around, and I'm like, get the hell out of here. They had purposely sat him next to Tom Selleck in the audience. And they were the only two men in the entire place that had mustaches. Fantastic.
Definitely, my mustache is better than Magnum PI's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Confidence.
Best mustache in TV history.
True.
Earl Hickey.
I believe the mustache was nominated for an Emmy that year,
It
right?
was in a separate category, and I was the only nominee.
Yes, sir.
My name's Chad from Farmington Hills, Michigan.
Hi, Chad.
My question for Jason is, what was the most fun you had doing Alvin and the Chipmunks movies?
Working with the Chipmunks, right? In each of those
Working
guys.
with the tennis
I mean, it's
balls?
kind
Yeah.
of corny, but like, I'm a dad, and like having my kids come to the set and then getting to show them the end result of the movies, and they've all grown up on all of those movies. I mean, that's essentially why, you do something like that. And so it's like, I have a 6-year-old, we have as young as 6, and she's watching the movies now. So it's been cool, like over almost, over 18 years, that my kids are still getting to discover those classic family movies. That's
Yeah,
essentially
my
why.
kids have to
Yeah.
wait till they're 21 to watch my shit.
Yeah.
Astronomicon 10 will be doing 20 years of Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
Yes, right there.
I'm Josh from Steam Machine.
Hi.
Seeing how the show revolves around the supernatural force of karma, I kind of want to know whether or not any of you believe in karma, and if you do you have a specific example of karma either punishing you or rewarding you for your actions?
I 100% believe in karma. I believe what you put out there is what you get back. But I do believe that, bad things happen to good people sometimes. But there was an episode we did where, I can't remember all of it, you should, or maybe you will, but instead, so there was you were doing good and something bad happened to you, and then they realized that the bad wasn't happening to you, it was that other person's bad karma. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
It was 20 years ago.
Back to that. I do believe what
I
you,
vaguely remember that.
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I can't remember how it was explained, but it was brilliant. But I believe that, when you do good things happen, and but sometimes bad things happen too. So like you can say whatever you want, believe whatever you want. I just think that I think that the show was brilliant and that it was trying to actually show that if you fix the things that you made a mistake on in the first place, that things do get better in your life.
Yeah. I for sure believe that. I'm trying to think of an instance where that happened.
I'm just not gonna tell you like where I messed up and then how I
I definitely believe in you get your ass kicked, if you don't, if you're not kind and good to people and, trying to do good things. I'm just trying to be a better person.
Eddie?
Yes, I believe in karma. I was raised,
Go, no, go.
I was raised in a Pentecostal religion, so my parents kind of already, it wasn't called karma, it was just Jesus and doing what's right.
The golden rule.
Yeah, or the devil will get you, whatever. So I was kind of brought up with some sort of that idea, and as I got older and started to kind of study on my own and live my own life, I definitely feel that karma is real. But like Jamie said, I think that, you can be a good person and life still happens, so it is what it is, but I still carry that with me, try to do the right thing.
Not really. I think karma has an external connotation to it, and for me, I think it's all internal, so that if you are doing something that is against your own moral compass, that maybe you'll draw in bad energy, but I don't think of it as like some external force.
Getting theological in astronomy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Look, I typically would ask E anything because he's one of the most well-read, like the guy that played the Dum-Dum is the most brilliant, one of the most brilliant men I've ever known. Like he's the most well-read.
Speaking of well-read, I do have a comic book question. I want to ask our Mallrats veterans about working with the great Stan Lee, R.I.P. I mean, Stan Lee, of course, now we're thinking a lot about, all the various cameos he had and stuff, but when you're doing Mallrats, you weren't seeing Stan Lee in movies all the time, and you certainly, I think even after, didn't see him have such scenes. I just, any Stan Lee memories for us, or?
His cameo in Mallrats is by far the best, for sure. That he's ever had. I mean,
It's so good that it's been referenced in another cameo.
yeah, that's right. But what was cool about Stan is that he understood the kind of humor. He totally got it, and went along with it. He was just an absolute champ about it. And his delivery was fantastic. And it was like, two moments for me of like people stopping and watching another person and just kind of awe was when Stan Lee was on the set of Mallrats. Everybody was like, holy shit. And then when Burt Reynolds was on Earl, everybody was
That
like,
was
holy
scary,
shit.
yeah.
But yeah, Stan's presence, amazing. He was just such a team player, great comedic delivery. And it was just like, I think if I hadn't been so nervous because it was my very first movie and I was really genuinely terrified, I would have been able to sort of like really take in the fact that I was working with the great Stan Lee, but I was too busy not wanting to mess up my dialogue and get in trouble or whatever. Looking back after the fact, it's really special that I got to share scenes with him and really enjoy that much later after the fact.
And you got to talk about the Thing's orange package, his orange thing.
Yeah.
It's Stan Lee.
It's pretty awesome.
Did you get to hang out with him, or did you
I had a
have
fucking
that
scene with him
saying?
too, sir.
It was deleted.
That too is on
Was it
YouTube.
actually deleted?
No, but it's a very quick scene. It's not like
Okay,
the
let's
ultra
pipe down
slow
about,
piece.
there's no small
There's no small parts.
you know, all that stuff. I didn't hang out with him at all, but I was very impressed by him. It was exciting to have him there.
Yeah, it was incredible. Before the MCU, but just real quick story. I was working in an office in Santa Monica. It wasn't a well-traveled street by any means, so it wasn't common to see anybody walk by your window. And one day, it's 20 years ago, more than 20 years actually, Stan Lee walked by my window as on his way to a meeting at the building next door, and I just instinctively, never done this before or since, just jumped out of my chair and ran outside. And then when I got up to him, I realized I had no idea what I was going to say to him. And I just looked at him and I was like, Mr. Lee, thank you. And he goes, you're welcome. And like he just knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
That's
He
great.
changed your life.
He did,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes, but
I'm Gary. I'm from Muskegon, Michigan, and my question would be, when did you realize that acting was your thing, and what advice would you give yourself back when you realized that?
What was the last part?
What advice would you
Oh.
give to yourself?
To yourself.
To your younger self.
I would have said rethink it and do something else. But I've wanted to be an actor since I was 4.
I would have said, wait, there's gonna be something called the Me Too movement, and after that, you'll be able to play whatever roles you want to.
after that, Kevin Smith will get Dogma back.
Right. No, I mean, that's not what, I mean, yes, I would have said that, but, what was the first part?
When did you realize you wanted to?
When did you realize?
How did you want to know?
When did you
I've been on a stage since I was 3. My mom's a dance teacher and the choreographer for the Performing Arts Department back home. And so I started dancing and gymnastics when I was 3, and then started doing plays and all the things. And I come from a lot of, all the Presleys are funny as shit. Like, you go to one of our like family reunions and you leave with a new set of abs because everybody's just funny. And I loved the feeling of making people laugh, but I also loved the feeling of being able to make people feel something that they didn't feel when they first sat down to watch. So whether it's we made you think, we made you cry, we made you laugh, we made you happy when you were in a really shitty mood, we took you out of a dark place, like that. That's what comedy does for people, and that is a really good feeling to be able to do that for other people.
True. I was in a tiny little scene, no dialogue, in a LA movie called Mi Vida Loca, directed by the great Allison Anders. And in a scene, we're trying to trade CDs for weed, and the drug dealer gets mad and he smacks the CDs out of Spike Jonze's hands. He was in the scene too. And I remember seeing the dolly track and the camera, and I was just completely blown away by that world. And I, remember in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he's kind of looking into the camera at the end of the thing, paging Mr. Herman. And he's looking in the camera. That was me. I was like trying not to look into the camera as the camera was moving by up the dolly track. Like, holy shit, I'm actually in a movie. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm actually in a movie. I think I want to pursue this. Holy shit, during the take. Yeah, anyway.
What advice?
Huh?
What advice would you give that kid?
Shit.
Don't look down the barrel.
Yeah, don't, don't look at the lens.
Mine wasn't,
Would you tell them about your success, about who you are now? Are you proud of who you are?
Whoa.
Listen, we thought the question was, what would advice would you give to your younger self?
I thought the theological discussion was.
That's a good, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know.
Do you think your
No,
father is proud?
I think first. I'm cool, like really honestly, like I feel like, the intention was pure enough. Like I was genuinely passionate about the idea of discovering what that world was like. And that eventually years later would lead to like getting interested in cameras and photography and film and stuff like that, because I feel like if there's a genuine passion for what you're doing and a real reason for wanting to do it, you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna do projects that didn't work out or whatever. That's gonna happen, but like, I think I don't know that there would be much advice there, because I had that genuine intention behind the drive, and so it worked out as it was supposed to, I guess, the good and the bad of it.
I'm entirely selfish. I don't know if there's a hum.
I was gonna say, I'm not the only one here.
Move along.
And there's some karma vibes going on. Who is it?
I think it was with double mics. How's this?
One answer from the shadows.
Mine was very selfish. I was very uncomfortable with myself as a kid, and then did a high school play and found that if I was pretending to be somebody else, I was no longer comfortable with myself. And so I was like, oh, I don't have to exist as myself. I can go exist as these other people. And that was super fascinating to me. And the only advice I would give my younger self is to just be kinder to yourself.
Let's do a question from the back, some of the people standing back there. You, sir.
Brian from Riverview, and seeing how we're on the border of River City, I gotta ask if either or you are in possession of that sweet, sweet 1973 Chevy El Camino.
No, that's what I would have told my younger self. You're gonna do a TV show in the future, and there's gonna be an El Camino that you're gonna drive. Buy that fucking thing before the show gets canceled. That's the advice right there. Yes, that is actually a genuine regret.
I have that same regret.
I'm not in possession of that car.
Yeah.
Right there, sir.
Mine's Lance from Richmond, Indiana. But Joy, since you were married to all three men, who's your favorite one?
All three?
Amazing couple, you guys are married.
Let's go Lance.
We've been brother and sister.
We've been brother and
brother and
sister.
sister-in-law, and we were married.
I didn't realize we were married in that.
That's the third deleted scene.
That one's on Pornhub.
Sorry, what's your question? I don't know on that part. What?
So who's the best husband?
Well, for
Oh,
sure.
for sure.
Oh, for sure, crap, man. Let's go.
I mean, crap man.
no memory.
Yeah,
Now it's really
it was a
therapy.
whole episode or something.
We've done theology, we've done therapy, we've done marriage counseling. Yes, back there.
Hi, my name is Charlotte, I'm from Brandon, Michigan, and my children would like to know if there's anything different with the ending and how you would change it.
How would you change?
Well, we didn't have an ending.
Right.
We would, yeah, the change would have been ending. That would have been great.
It really would have been. You know, I had somebody come up to me and ask, not here, but recently, so more and more like what the business is moving into is independent financing for television as well as, you know, when you've heard for years and years, getting time with independent film, right? But now it's moving that direction with television. And there's a lot of, the Duplass brothers have a company, and they write and produce and direct, and they're actors, and they're really great at what they do. And they've recently started this thing where they're basically crowdfunding to get things made instead of having to get.
Oh! Karma.
Where they're basically crowdfunding to get things made. I'm not going to repeat that.
Ghost story.
So my
just been fun.
No.
So, they literally just proved that the model works, and they had fans fund it. And if you were part of someone who if you were one of the fans that jumped on, I mean, think of it like a GoFundMe page, but it's not, it's something different, but it's very similar, right? Everybody that goes and puts money into that GoFundMe place, right? When it comes out, you get to see it before anybody else does, right? So it doesn't matter if it's like $5 or $10 or whatever. And ultimately, things like this, where everybody wants to see the end of the show happen, at least one last season. At the end of the day, reality is we could get it funded. We could independently finance a last season.
There's gonna be ushers with baskets on.
But it's not like, my point is that, you know, when fans want something bad enough, they usually get it.
Yeah.
And it's not for a lack of trying on his and Garcia's part, but it was years ago, it was a different time when they tried to redo it. And so I don't know that now, I bet now we'd have a better chance or better shot at having one last season. And it would be great, like we were talking about, to know where everybody is. Like, where are they now? Because Joy would definitely have her premium Dell decorating business going on. Nail decorating.
Yeah.
Can't say it. Huh?
Everybody said no for some reason. Greg
Not
Garcia
us,
pitched it
but
around.
people, like the
And then
studios.
people just weren't into doing it at that time.
Because they were scared. It was a time of cancel culture. And they were mortified. So, you know, now I don't think it would be so bad.
I think this would be a great last question that brings up, which is hypothetically, we can start down with you, Jason. Where do you think Earl would be right now? What's he doing?
I mean, it's probably not very realistic, but I would love to see him 20 years later still working on the list. And at this point, he's just like knocking on the person's door. He's like, yeah, is your name Carla? Yeah, you're on my list. I got to make something up to you. And he's just over it already. He's no longer like, I feel good that I helped this person. He's more just like, Carla, yeah, I did that. Okay, but, and he's just over it. But he's still at it. Meanwhile, Randy's winning like triathlon competition shit.
Where would Batman?
Where's the crab man?
I think he's back to being a CIA agent.
Yeah.
Once he finds out the kid isn't his, he's like, I'm out of Canada.
And like I said, backwards, I couldn't get it out of my mouth. Joy would definitely still be in the trailer park, I think. But I think she would have 2 trailers now. I think she'd have one that was the premium nail decorating business, and then the one that she lives in. And to see Dodge and Earl Jr. now.
You've got grandkids.
I've got grandkids. 100%. And they probably all live in the trailer next to that.
The triathlons for Randy, or what else?
Well, you know, I don't know about those water swims for drugs and stuff, so.
Randy could own a gym.
You know what? Fuck it. At the very end of this new season, Randy finally gets abducted. He's like, Earl, they finally came. I'm going. I'll see you later.
Oh my God.
They finally came for me, Earl.
That was so good.
Deleted it.
The aliens might fix your septum. You never know. Ladies and gentlemen, the cast of My Name is Earl. And I'll be back up here pretty soon. The great Jason Patrick.